So we're going to be using Uni's hair today for this wig. We got a closure and we got 3 bundles. This closure is a 4x4 and I believe the inches are 12, 14, 16, 18. So that's just the closure. These are the bundles. Once again, this is from Uni's hair and we are going to start off with bleaching the closure. So in this next clip, we're going to use the Quick Blue bleaching powder and the Wella developer. So that's what I'm showing you here. And here we're going to mix up, we've already mixed up our developer and our powder, bleaching powder. So now we're just using the bleach to do a little bleaching to the lace. This is in a 20 developer, so we don't want it to be too light because my client doesn't want her lace to be too bleached. So here we're just applying the paste on to the closure. You're just going to get all of the lace pieces you want to bleach so the knots are nice and light. Sorry guys if I sound like a crazy person. This is my first time doing a voiceover, so I'm doing the best I can. Please spare me. So here I just put the bleach onto the lace and I'm just making sure that it's really thin. I did have my ratio a little, thick today, so I'm just trying to thin it out as much as I can, make sure that I get it all over the lace, and we're just going to continue to get that all over, work our way throughout the whole closure, and just make sure that you go a little bit above the actual hairline of the closure, because if you leave a little of that lace when you're cutting out, you want to make sure that it's blending as well and that it's nice and bleached. So you don't have to bleach the whole top part, but just do a little bit over the hairline. So you'll see that here I went a little bit over the hairline area just to make sure that where I'm cutting, and if you want to leave baby hairs and whatnot, you want to make sure that that lace is bleached as well, that spot, that area. So she is doing a middle part. So realistically, I do just want to make sure that the middle area generally and in the front is bleached really nicely. Of course, when you're doing your closures, you want to make sure that the whole area is bleached, but you really want to make sure that you're focusing on the area that is going to be parted as well. So here, like I said, I'm just thinning it out, and now we're done. So I'm just putting some aluminum over that, and we're just gonna fold the sides of the aluminum to make sure that no air is getting into it. And we're gonna let this sit for about 20 minutes. I did use the 20 developer, so typically the developer stops working around like 30 minutes, but I just left it on for 20 because, like I said, I don't want it to over bleach. Okay, so now we're going to sew down our lace closure. So here I'm just putting it into the area that I want it to be in. Like I said before, this is going to be a middle part closure wig. So I'm just using my T-pins to place the closure down, to kind of like place the closure down so that I'm able to sew it, because obviously if it's not pinned down, I won't be able to sew it. So I'm just using my T-pins that I got from my local beauty supply store, and I'm just using them to pin down the closure the best that I can. Make sure that it's really tight, because really this is going to be your base for sewing, so you want to make sure that it's really flat, nice and tight, and really centered and even. So I'm just showing you guys where I place the T-pins in all of the areas to pin them down. I used about 5 in total. So now I'm going to wrap the hair up so that it's not in my way, so we can start sewing. So now it's all wrapped up. I'm going to remove this T-pin and we're going to start sewing down. So I'm just going to put the needle underneath the closure. We're going to sew from underneath. I'm putting the needle underneath the closure, pulling it through the closure, and you're just going to pull that thread all the way through. And then you're going to go back in and do the same method, but this time you're going to pull your needle through the loop that you're going to have here. So just pull it through. So this is a different type of stitching method. It's a little more secure. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I cannot remember the name of it right now, but if I remember, I will tell you guys exactly, the name of it. But for me, this is easier than just like, looping the thread over and over, because that's not as secure. So I like to, like I said, pull the needle through the thread, through the little hole, as you can see here. So I just pulled it over and pulled it through. I'm not sure if I'm describing this the best way, so if you're more of a visual learner, you'll see what I'm doing through here, but I'm trying my best to describe. So like I said, I'm just literally pulling the needle. We're sewing underneath the closure. I'm pulling the needle through the closure, and then I am pulling my needle through our thread. So here it's going to be sped up because I'm basically doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm just going to let you guys enjoy this. We're going to just speed it up really quick, and I'm going to finish out this side of the closure in the rest of it. So just enjoy the little sped up version. So here I'm just showing you our first bundle that we're going to get started with. We're going to sew down this first bundle. So let's get started. So I'm just literally going to do the same method that I did with the lace closure. I'm going to use my T-pins to pin down the actual tracks in the area that I want it to be in, so that it makes it easier for me to sew, so I don't have to like hold it or take forever. It just makes it easier because it's already pinned out. I just sew it and it's really simple and easy. So I'm just going to pin the front piece, and then I'm going to also pin it all the way to the other side, so that, like I said, it's already pinned up for me, and I can just start sewing. So the sewing method is going to really be the same that I used for the closure. We're just going to go underneath these tracks, and we're going to not go through them. I go underneath them. I double weft them, so I keep them double weft how the actual bundle comes. So you're going to see soon. I'm talking a little ahead, but I'm going to remove my T-pin here, and we're just going to, like I said, do the same method that we used for the lace closure. So I'm double wefting it. I'm going to go underneath my actual track, not through the track. I'm going to go underneath the track, and we're going to pull our needle through the cap, of course, because we're sewing it on there. So like I said, I'm still talking a little ahead of time. I'm going a lot slower in this process than I anticipated. So as you see, I'm struggling a little bit with this T-pin. It's giving me a little bit of a hard time. But all I did was just move my T-pin over so that I was able to actually start sewing on the front piece. So as you can see, I went underneath, as I was telling you guys before, pulled the thread all the way through, and then I'm just going to go underneath again. And my next piece, I kind of kept it in that same area. And then I'm just going to pull my needle through the thread. So once again, we're just going underneath the actual track. We're going to pull it all the way through, and we're going to pull our needle through that little loop that you saw, that little circle that it creates. And we're just going to continue to do this over and over again until, we get to the top. So we just want to make sure that when we're placing our tracks, we're keeping it double weft. I do double weft it all the way to the top. And then when we get like closer to the closure, I do start to single weft it and sew it that way. So we're going to, like I said, just basically place it along like the curve of the head. Just follow the shape of the mannequin head, and continue to lay your tracks on above each other, obviously until you fill up your cap. So the rest of the video, I probably will come back in and talk a little bit, but for the rest of the video, it will just be me sewing, doing these same motions, and so I'll just be a sped up version of me doing what I'm already doing. So enjoy that, and I'll be back soon. Hey guys, so I just wanted to check back in with you guys. So now we're getting closer to the middle of our mannequin head. So now I'm just still doing the same motion, still having it double weft, and we're just going underneath the tracks, not through the tracks, and we're pulling our needle through our thread to keep a nicer, firm stitching going on. So now this is going to be sped up once again, just me doing it in a faster motion because I'm pretty sure that you guys don't want to continue to watch this in slow motion because it's really repetitive at this moment. You're just really going to be doing this all the way until you get to the top. And this is actually the easiest part. Really the hardest part is just getting the closure down to make sure that it's nice and flat and it's right in the area that you want it for the parting. So yes, just want to check back in. But the remainder of this video, well, the remainder of this part will be just me finishing the actual sewing process, and then we'll get into the styling. Okay, so I actually cut out some of that because I didn't want you guys to get bored. So we are at the top, the place that I was telling you that I want to get to so we could be done with this wig. So still doing the same motions, but now I am not double wefting anymore. I do have it in single wefts. So now we're just still sewing it down using our T-pins to keep it all pinned down for us so we don't have to like hold the tracks. We're just doing the same thing, you know, pulling the needle through the or under the weft and through the loops. So now we're just doing this back and forth. As you can see, sorry for me saying so much. These are my filler words. But as you guys can see, um, I am just pulling it through, and now it's creating more of like a U shape. So now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to sew over and over and continue to kind of like make that U shape until we have it into more of like a smaller area to where we can just start folding them on top of each other, which that part will come soon. So yes, right now just finishing off this top piece, and I'll come right back to you guys when we are closer to the top, like the very, very top. And I'm back again. We're at the very top. So as I was telling you guys, the circle or the little U will get smaller and smaller. So I'm just sewing this down. We're still trying to create our U, but really now we're just going to have the tracks go on top of each other, like kind of in just a horizontal or yeah, horizontal way, just flipping them back and forth until you kind of close up that U, so that there isn't any of the wig cap left showing. So this is the part where you can also start to sew down your track to your closure. So as you guys can see that you probably don't see it as well, but I am going now pulling the needle through the actual closure to kind of make sure that it's really secure, really flat, and that there's no holes or openings within the actual wig. So I'm just sewing it to my actual closure, and I'm doing these last little pieces, and we're about to be done with our actual sewing down, which is awesome because this is the part that really takes the longest. So now, as you guys can see, we are done. All right, so now that we are done doing our sewing down, now I'm just going to pluck the closure. So plucking the closure is very important because you want to make sure that it looks more, you know, natural, like your hairline. So I didn't do too much plucking with this. I'm really just starting off by, you know, grabbing my tweezers and just going section by section within this closure. So you're just going to pull out little pieces in the areas where you see like little dots on the closure, or if you see too much hair, you know, kind of the best way that I do it for myself, for me to remember like what you want it to look like is I'll do the parting, and so anytime that I see hair within the part that I have, I pull those hairs out. That's the easiest way that I can explain it. So here you can see that it's starting to look more like, you know, you can see through the lace. So I like to just pull all of those pieces out there. I start to pluck the pieces that are I already pulled out, and then I'll also pluck those pieces at the top that are still pushed back. And so you just go through them. You don't want to thin it out too much because then it's going to look like a bald enclosure. So yeah, I just basically kind of get those hairs out of the way where the part is, and then just kind of give it a little bit, you know, a little bit. You just don't want it to be as thick, basically. You want it to be as natural as possible. So you do want to thin it out a little bit. So I'm just going to finish plucking. I'm actually going to make this a two-part video, so I will actually end the video here, and then we will finish with our styling in the next video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on part 2. Stay tuned.